The doctors told me my daughter's jaw was shattered in 6 places. 6 places. They said whoever swung that baseball bat swung it like they wanted to kill her. My little girl, was lying in a hospital bed with metal wires holding her face together, unable to speak, unable to scream, unable to tell me who did this. But I already knew one thing: whoever touched my daughter would never walk again. Hit like, subscribe for more betrayal stories, and comment your city or country. My name is Dominic. For 22 years I served this country in ways most people will never know. Delta Force, the missions I ran, the things I saw, the men I lost. None of that ever broke me. But that phone call broke something inside me I didn't even know existed. It was 11:47 p.m. on a Thursday night. I remember because I had just turned off the TV. Some late-night show was playing, and I was about to head upstairs when my phone buzzed on the coffee table. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something in my gut told me to pick it up. Is this Dominic Mercer? A woman's voice. Professional cold. Yes. Sir, this is Mercy General Hospital. Your daughter Leia has been admitted to the emergency room. You need to come immediately. My heart stopped. What happened? Sir, I can't discuss details over the phone. Please come as soon as what happened to my daughter. Silence. Then quietly, she was attacked. Sir, it's serious. I don't remember grabbing my keys. I don't remember driving. All I remember is running through those hospital doors like my life depended on it. Because in that moment, it did. The fluorescent lights, the smell of antiseptic, nurses moving too slowly. Everything felt like a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. La Mercer, I said to the front desk. Where is she? The nurse looked at me with that expression, the one they give you when the news isn't good. Room 214, sir. But I didn't wait. I pushed through those double doors and ran down the hallway until I found her room. And when I walked in, nothing. Nothing could have prepared me for what I saw. My daughter, my beautiful 19-year-old daughter. Her face was wrapped in white bandages stained with blood. Tubes ran from her arms. Machines beeped in a rhythm that felt like a countdown to something terrible. Her eyes were closed, swollen shut. I couldn't even recognize her. Layla, I whispered, falling to my knees beside her bed. Baby, I'm here. Daddy's here. She didn't move. A doctor walked in behind me. Young guy, tired eyes. Mr. Mercer. I couldn't look away from her face. What happened to her? Your daughter was found unconscious near her dormitory at Bradley University. She sustained severe facial trauma. Her jaw is fractured in multiple places. We've stabilized her, but she'll need surgery. Who did this? Sir, the police are who did this. He hesitated. We don't know yet. Campus security found her around 1:00 p.m. No witnesses have come forward. No witnesses. A college campus full of students and nobody saw anything. I looked at my daughter's face, at the bruises forming under the bandages, at the swelling that made her unrecognizable. And I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Rage. Pure, unfiltered rage. Mr. Mercer, the doctor continued, there's something else. I finally looked at him. When she was brought in, she was clutching something in her hand. Security bagged it as evidence, but I thought you should know. What was it? A piece of fabric. Looked like it was torn from a jacket. I stood up slowly. Where's security? 20 minutes later, I was in a small office with a campus security officer named Greg. Overweight, nervous. He kept avoiding my eyes. Mr. Mercer, we're cooperating fully with local police. Show me the footage. Sir, I don't have authorization to. My daughter is lying in a hospital bed with her jaw wired shut. You're going to show me that footage, or I'm going to find someone who will. He stared at me for a long moment. Then he turned his computer screen toward me. The video was grainy, black and white. Timestamp 9:43 p.m. I watched my daughter walking alone near the science building. She was wearing her favorite blue hoodie, the one I bought her last Christmas. Then 3 figures appeared behind her. Hoodies, masks. One of them was carrying something, a baseball bat. I watched them surround her. I watched her try to run. I watched one of them grab her arm and spin her around, and then I watched that bat connect with my daughter's face. She dropped like a rag doll. They hit her again and again, and then they laughed. They laughed and walked away like nothing happened. Turn it off, I said quietly. Greg stopped the video. Mr. Mercer, the police are you. Did you identify them? Not yet. The masks? What about the jacket? The piece of fabric she was holding? He shifted uncomfortably. It's being analyzed. By who? Campus police. I leaned forward. Let me see it. Sir, I can't. Greg. I looked him dead in the eyes. I spent 22 years hunting terrorists in places you can't pronounce. I've interrogated men who made a living out of lying. I know when someone is hiding something. He swallowed hard. What aren't you telling me? Silence. Then quietly. The jacket. It had a Greek letter on it. We think it belongs to one of the fraternities. Which one? Sigma. But Mr. Mercer, those boys, their families are very powerful. The dean has already what? He looked down. He's already asked us to be careful with the investigation. Careful? My daughter's jaw was broken in 6 places, and they wanted to be careful. I stood up without another word and walked out of that office. When I got back to Wila's room, her eyes were open barely. She looked at me through the swelling, and I saw something that destroyed me even more than the injuries. Fear. My daughter was afraid. Not of the pain, not of the surgery. She was afraid of something else. Someone else. Baby, I whispered, sitting beside her. I'm here, you're safe now. She couldn't speak, her jaw was wired, so she reached for the notepad on her bedside table. With a shaking hand, she wrote 4 words. Don't look for them. I stared at those words. Then I looked at my daughter, at the terror in her eyes, and I understood. She knew who did this, and she was afraid of what would happen if I found out. I took her hand gently and kissed her forehead. Get some rest, baby. Daddy's going to take care of everything. She closed her eyes. And I made a promise. Not to her, to myself. Whoever did this to my daughter, whoever shattered her face and left her bleeding on the ground, whoever laughed while my little girl screamed, they had no idea what was coming, because Delta Force doesn't forgive, and this father doesn't forget. The next 3 days were the longest of my life. Leia drifted in and out of consciousness. The swelling around her eyes slowly went down, but her jaw remained wired shut. She communicated through that little notepad, short sentences, sometimes just single words. But she never wrote the one thing I needed to know: names. Every time I tried to bring it up, she would close her eyes and pretend to sleep, or she would write something else entirely, asking about the house, about her classes, about anything except what happened that night. On the 4th morning, I was sitting in the chair beside her bed when a knock came at the door. A man in a cheap suit walked in, mid-40s, receding hairline, coffee stain on his tie. Mr. Mercer, I'm Detective Victor Hale. I've been assigned to your daughter's case. I stood up and shook his hand. Weak grip, soft palms. This man had never seen real violence in his life. What do you have so far? I asked. He pulled out a small notepad. Ironic considering my daughter was using one too. Well, we've reviewed the security footage. 3 suspects, all wearing masks. We're working with campus police to identify them. Working with campus police, I repeated. The same campus police who closed this case within 48 hours. Victor shifted uncomfortably. Sir, the case was never officially closed. It was just deprioritized. Deprioritized. There were some concerns about jurisdiction. I stepped closer to him. My daughter's face was shattered with a baseball bat. She can't eat solid food. She can't speak. And you're talking to me about jurisdiction. Mr. Mercer, I understand you're upset. You don't understand anything. He cleared his throat. Look, I'm on your side here, but I need your daughter to cooperate. She won't tell us anything, won't even look at the photo lineup we prepared. I glanced at Yila. She was awake now, watching us with those haunted eyes. She's traumatized, I said quietly. Give her time. Time is exactly what we don't have, Victor replied. If we don't make progress in the next week, the case goes cold. That's just how it works. He handed me his card and walked out. I looked at that card for a long moment, then I crumpled it and threw it in the trash. That afternoon, Laya's best friend came to visit. Harper was a petite girl with dark hair and nervous energy. She and Laya had been roommates since freshman year. When she walked into the room and saw Yila's face, she burst into tears. Oh my, Laya, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Laya reached out and squeezed her hand. I watched them from across the room, saying nothing. After a few minutes, Harper composed herself. She wiped her eyes and sat down beside the bed. The whole campus is talking about it, she said quietly. Everyone's scared. They're saying it might happen again. Yila's hand tightened around Harper's. Do you know who did this? I asked. Harper looked at me like a deer caught in headlights. I don't, Harper. I kept my voice calm, gentle, but firm. If you know something, you need to tell me. She looked at Laya. Something passed between them. A silent conversation I wasn't part of. Then Harper looked back at me. There's this fraternity, she whispered. Sigma. They throw these parties exclusive once. Only certain people get invited. Go on. A few weeks ago, Laya got invited. I told her not to go, but she said it would be fine. She came back early that night, said some guy was being aggressive. My jaw tightened. Aggressive how? He kept following her around. Wouldn't take no for an answer. She had to sneak out through the back. Did she tell you his name? Harper hesitated. Harper, Ryder. She finally said, his name is Ryder Callahan. I memorized that name instantly. Who is he? His dad is Kel. He's a big deal. Some kind of judge. Everyone on campus knows to stay away from Ryder because his family is untouchable. Untouchable? We would see about that. Is there anyone else? Anyone who might have helped him? Harper shook her head quickly. I don't know. I really don't. But Laya, she was scared after that party. She told me if anything ever happened to her, I shouldn't say anything. Why? Because she said they could make people disappear. That night, after Harper left and Laya fell asleep, I went through my daughter's belongings. The hospital had given me a bag with her clothes and personal items. I had already looked through it once, but now I searched more carefully. Her phone was cracked, probably from the fall. I plugged it in and waited for it to power on. When it finally lit up, I went through her messages. Most of them were normal texts with Harper, study group chats, messages from professors, but then I found a thread that made my blood run cold. It was from an unknown number. Free messages sent the day before the attack. You should have kept your mouth shut. Nobody says no to us. You're going to regret this. I stared at those words. My daughter had been threatened, stalked, hunted, and she never told me. I scrolled further and found another thread. This one from Laya to Harper sent just hours before the attack. I think they're following me. I see the same car everywhere I go. Harper, I'm scared. What do I do? If something happens to me, don't tell my dad. He'll do something crazy. Something crazy. My daughter knew me better than I thought. I closed her phone and sat in the darkness for a long time. The next morning, I drove to Bradley University. The campus was beautiful. Old brick buildings, sprawling lawns, students walking around like they didn't have a care in the world. It looked like something out of a movie, but I knew what lurked beneath the surface. I found the dean's office and walked in without an appointment. His secretary tried to stop me. Sir, you can't just... I'm Laya Mercer's father. Tell Dean Morrison I need 5 minutes. She made a call. A moment later, I was ushered into a large office with mahogany furniture and framed diplomas on every wall. Dean Morrison was a heavy man with silver hair and a politician's smile. Mr. Mercer, please sit down. I've been meaning to reach out to you about Laya's situation. I didn't sit. Why was the investigation deprioritized? His smile faltered slightly. I'm not sure what you mean. The campus police had footage of my daughter being attacked. They had a piece of evidence, a torn jacket from a fraternity, and within 48 hours, the case was shelved. What, Mr. Mercer? These things are complicated. Uncomplicate them for me. He leaned back in his chair. Bradley University has relationships with many influential families. Families who have donated generously to this institution. When accusations are made against certain individuals, we have to be careful. There was that word again. Careful. You're protecting them, I said quietly. I'm protecting this university. From what? Justice. From baseless accusations that could destroy innocent lives. I leaned forward, placing both hands on his desk. My daughter's jaw is wired shut. She can't eat. She can't speak. She has nightmares every single night, and you're sitting here talking about protecting innocent lives. Dean Morrison's face hardened. Mr. Mercer, I suggest you let the proper authorities handle this. If you try to take matters into your own hands, I can assure you you will regret it. I straightened up. Dean Morrison, I said calmly, I spent 2 decades hunting the most dangerous men on this planet. I've been shot, stabbed, and left for dead in places you've never heard of. The men who hurt my daughter are not the most dangerous people in this situation. I turned and walked toward the door. I am back in my truck. I sat in the parking lot and made a phone call. Marcus, it's Dominic. A pause, then a familiar voice, deep, growly, laced with surprise. Dom, man, it's been years. How you doing, brother? I need a favor. Name it. I need everything you can find on a kid named Ryder Callahan. His father is a judge. Ryder's part of a fraternity called Sigma Tau at Bradley University. What kind of trouble are we talking? The worst kind. Silence. Give me 48 hours. You have 24. I hung up and looked at the Sigma Tau house in the distance, a large white building with columns and a manicured lawn. Somewhere inside that house were the animals who broke my daughter, and I was going to find them, every single one. Marcus called me back in 18 hours. Dom, you need to hear this. I pulled over to the side of the road and put him on speaker. Go ahead. Ryder Callahan, 20 years old, junior at Bradley University. His father is Judge Harrison Callahan, not just any judge, Dom. He handles high-profile criminal cases in the state, connections all the way to the governor's office. I clench my jaw. Who else? Ryder runs with two other guys. Preston Whitmore. His father is State Senator Douglas Whitmore, and Kyle Davenport. His family owns half the commercial real estate in the city, a judge's son, a senator's son, a real estate tycoon's son, 3 untouchable families. What else do you have on them? They're all members of Sigma Tau. The fraternity has a history of complaints, harassment, assault, hazing incidents. Every single one got buried. Witnesses recanted, victims went silent. These families have lawyers on speed dial. Any connection to my daughter specifically? Marcus paused. Yeah. 3 weeks before the attack, campus security logged a complaint. A female student said Ryder Callahan followed her to her dorm and tried to force his way inside. The complaint was withdrawn 2 days later. Let me guess. Laya was the complainant. You already knew. I'm starting to. I hung up and sat in silence. My daughter had tried to do things the right way. She reported him. She followed the rules. And the system failed her. No, the system didn't fail her. The system protected them. The next morning, I drove back to campus. This time, I didn't go to the dean's office. I went straight to the Sigma house. It was exactly what I expected. A 3-story mansion with white columns, expensive cars in the driveway, and young men lounging on the porch like they owned the world. Because in their minds, they did. I parked across the street and watched. Around noon, 3 guys walked out together. I recognized them immediately from the photos Marcus had sent me. Ryder, tall, blonde, arrogant smile. The leader, Preston, shorter, stocky, always looking to Ryder for approval. Kyle, quiet, nervous energy. The follower. They got into a black SUV and drove off. I followed. They went to an upscale cafe downtown, sat outside on the patio, laughed, ordered drinks, flirted with the waitress. They looked like normal college kids, but I knew what they really were. I watched them for 2 hours, studied their body language, their habits, their weaknesses. Ryder was the confident one, the mastermind. He made the decisions. Preston was the muscle, eager to prove himself, easily manipulated. Kyle was the weak link, always checking his phone, always looking over his shoulder. Every team has a weak link, and I always start with the weak link. That evening, I returned to the hospital. Laya was sitting up in bed watching something on her tablet. When she saw me, she turned it off. I sat down beside her. How are you feeling, baby? She picked up her notepad and wrote, better. Doctors say surgery is in 2 days. That's good. That's really good. She looked at me for a long moment. Then she wrote, you have that look. What look? The one Mom used to talk about. The look you get before a mission. My heart ached at the mention of her mother. Elena had passed away 4 years ago. Cancer. She was the only person who ever truly understood me. I'm not on a mission, sweetheart. Laya stared at me. Then she wrote, don't lie to me, Dad. I took a deep breath. I know who did this to you. Her hand froze over the notepad. Ryder Callahan, Preston Whitmore, Kyle Davenport. She closed her eyes. A tear rolled down her cheek. Why didn't you tell me? I asked quietly. She wrote slowly. Because I knew what you would do. What would I do? Something that would take you away from me forever. I reached out and held her hand. Yaila, look at me. She opened her eyes. I'm not going anywhere. But I'm also not going to let them get away with this. They threatened you. They stalked you. They broke your jaw with a baseball bat and left you bleeding on the ground. Dad, please. The system won't touch them. Their fathers are too powerful. The dean is protecting them. The police are dragging their feet. If I don't do something, they walk free. She was crying now, tears streaming down her face. I don't want revenge. I just want to forget. You can't forget, baby, and neither can I. I stood up and kissed her forehead. Get some rest. I'll be here when you wake up. Outside the hospital, I made another call. Nathaniel, it's Dominic Mercer. Dom, it's been years, man. How are you? Nathaniel and I served together in Delta Force before he left to become a military lawyer. He was one of the smartest men I ever knew. I need legal advice. What kind? The kind that stays between us. A pause. I'm listening. I told him everything. Yayla's attack, the cover-up, the 3 families, the failed investigation. When I finished, Nathaniel was quiet for a long time. Dom, these families are serious. Judge Callahan has connections everywhere. Senator Whitmore sits on the Judiciary Committee. If you go after their sons directly, they'll bury you. I'm not planning to go after them directly. Then what are you planning? I'm planning to expose them. How? I have footage. I have witnesses. I have evidence. I just need to get it in front of the right people. The right people. Nathaniel laughed bitterly. Dom, these are the right people. They control the courts, the police, the media. You leak that footage and it disappears within 24 hours. Then I make sure it doesn't disappear. Silence. You're going to do this no matter what I say, aren't you? Yes. Nathaniel sighed. Then be careful, brother. You're walking into a war you can't win with bullets. I looked up at the night sky. Maybe not with bullets, I said quietly. But there's more than one way to destroy a man. I hung up and walked to my truck. Somewhere out there, Ryder, Preston, and Kyle were sleeping peacefully. They had no idea that their lives were about to change forever. Marcus came through again. 2 days after our first call, he sent me a file, encrypted, detailed, and damning. I sat in my truck outside the hospital and read through everything. Ryder Callahan had 3 previous complaints filed against him. Harassment, intimidation, 1 accusation of assault from 2 years ago. Every single case was dropped before it reached court. Preston Whitmore had been expelled from his previous college for hazing. A freshman ended up in the hospital with alcohol poisoning. His father made a donation and the records were sealed. Kyle Davenport was the cleanest of the 3, but his family's real estate company had multiple lawsuits for tenant harassment. The pattern was clear: intimidation, power, and money to make problems disappear. These weren't kids who made a mistake. These were predators who had been protected their entire lives. And my daughter was just their latest victim. That afternoon, Laya went into surgery. I sat in the waiting room for 6 hours staring at the wall, running scenarios in my head. When the surgeon finally came out, he was smiling. The procedure went well. Mr. Mercer, we've reconstructed her jaw. She'll need extensive physical therapy, but she should make a full recovery. I exhale for the first time in days. When can I see her? She's in recovery now. Give her a few hours. I thanked him and walked outside to clear my head. That's when I saw him. Kyle Davenport. He was standing across the parking lot, leaning against a silver BMW, watching the hospital entrance. Our eyes met. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then he got in his car and drove away. I memorized his license plate. They were watching us, which meant they were scared. Good. That night, I followed Kyle. He drove to a bar downtown, some upscale place with velvet ropes and a bouncer at the door. I parked across the street and waited. An hour later, he stumbled out alone. I followed him to his apartment building, a high-rise with a doorman and security cameras. He lived on the 8th floor. I watched his lights turn on, then off 30 minutes later. The next morning, I followed him again. He went to class, then to the gym, then to a coffee shop where he sat alone, scrolling through his phone with nervous energy. He kept looking over his shoulder. He knew something was coming. On the 3rd day, I made my move. Kyle was leaving the gym when I approached him. Kyle Davenport. He froze. His face went pale. Who are you? My name is Dominic Mercer. Lala Mercer is my daughter. His eyes widened. He took a step back. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. He looked around frantically, searching for an escape. Look, man, I didn't do anything. I wasn't even there. I didn't say anything about being anywhere. He realized his mistake too late. I need to go. He tried to walk past me. I stepped in front of him. Kyle, I'm not here to hurt you. I just want to talk. I have nothing to say. Then let me say something. I leaned closer. I know what happened that night. I know Ryder planned it. I know Preston swung the bat, and I know you stood there and watched while my daughter screamed. His hands were shaking now. I also know you're the one who's been watching the hospital, which tells me you're scared. You should be. You can't prove anything. I have the security footage from campus. I have the torn jacket from your fraternity. I have the threatening messages sent to my daughter's phone. And I have a witness who saw you 3 leaving the scene. That last part was a bluff, but Kyle didn't know that. That's not possible. It's very possible. The question is, what are you going to do about it? He stared at me, paralyzed with fear. Here's what I think, Kyle. I think you didn't want any part of this. I think Ryder pressured you into it, and now you're terrified of what happens next. Am I wrong? He didn't answer, but I saw it in his eyes. I was right. You have a choice. I continued. You can stay loyal to Ryder and go down with him, or you can tell the truth and save yourself. If I talk, they'll destroy me. If you don't talk, I'll destroy you. He swallowed hard. I need to think about it. You have 48 hours. After that, I go public with everything I have. And trust me, Kyle, your father's money won't save you from what comes next. I handed him a burner phone. Call me when you're ready to do the right thing. I walked away without looking back. 2 days later, the burner phone rang. Mr. Mercer, Kyle's voice trembling. I'm listening. I'll talk, but I need protection. Ryder's family, they have people everywhere. What kind of people? His father knows cops, judges, prosecutors. If they find out I'm talking, they'll come after me. Then we make sure they don't find out. Meet me tomorrow, alone. Where? I'll text you the location. And Kyle? Yeah, if you're setting me up, you'll regret it for the rest of your very short life. Silence. I'm not setting you up. I just want this to be over. I hung up and stared at the phone. This was either the break I needed or a trap. Either way, I was walking in. The next evening, I met Kyle at a diner outside the city. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. Dark circles under his eyes, hands still shaking. I sat across from him. Talk. He took a deep breath. It was Ryder's idea. All of it. He was obsessed with Laya. When she rejected him at that party, he went crazy. Said nobody disrespects him like that. Go on. He planned the whole thing, made us wear masks. Preston brought the bat. I didn't even know what we were doing until we were already there. But you didn't stop it. His eyes filled with tears. I wanted to, I swear, but Ryder, you don't understand what he's like. He controls everything, everyone. If you go against him, he destroys you. So you watched. I watched and I've hated myself every single day since. I studied his face. He wasn't lying. What happened after? Ryder laughed the whole way back. Said she got what she deserved. Preston was high-fiving him like they just won a game. My fists clenched under the table and the cover-up. Ryder's dad handled everything. Made calls. The dean, the campus police, even some people at the city level. Within 2 days, it was like nothing ever happened. Except my daughter's jaw was wired shut. Kay looked down. I know. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't fix her face. Sorry doesn't give her back her voice. I know. That's why I'm here. I leaned forward. Are you willing to testify? On the record. He hesitated. If I do, they'll come after my family, my dad's business. And if you don't, 3 predators walk free. How many more girls do you think they'll hurt? He was silent for a long moment, then quietly, I'll testify. I nodded slowly. Then we do this right. No mistakes, no mercy. Kyle's testimony changed everything. I recorded our entire conversation at the diner. Every word, every confession, every detail. Then I made copies, multiple copies stored in different locations. But I knew going to the police was pointless. Judge Callahan had connections everywhere. The moment I walked into a station, he would know, so I went a different route. I contacted a journalist. Her name was Morgan Ellis, an investigative reporter for a national news outlet. She had a reputation for taking on powerful people and winning. When I reached out to her, she was skeptical at first. Mr. Mercer, do you have any idea who you're asking me to go after? A state judge, a senator. These aren't small-time criminals. I know exactly who they are. That's why I'm coming to you. What do you have? Security footage of the attack, a recorded confession from one of the attackers, threatening messages sent to my daughter before the assault, and evidence that the university covered it up. Silence on the other end. Send me everything. 3 days later, the story broke. It was everywhere. National news, social media, cable networks. The headline alone set the internet on fire. Senator's son and judge's son accused of brutal assault on college student. University allegedly covered it up. Morgan didn't hold back. She released the security footage, blurred enough to protect Wyla's identity, but clear enough to show the brutality of the attack. She played clips from Kyle's confession. She interviewed former students who had complained about Sigma Tau in the past. Within hours, it went viral. The public outrage was immediate and overwhelming. People were demanding answers, demanding justice, demanding accountability. The police had no choice but to reopen the case. But the families weren't going down without a fight. The next day, Senator Douglas Whitmore held a press conference. I watched it from Laya's hospital room, my blood boiling with every word. These allegations are completely false and defamatory, the senator said, standing behind a podium with his lawyer beside him. My son Preston is an outstanding young man with a bright future. He would never be involved in something like this. A reporter shouted a question. Senator, what about the video footage? That footage has been manipulated. We're already working with experts to prove it's been doctored. Another reporter, what about the witness who confessed? That so-called witness is clearly being coerced. We believe someone is orchestrating a campaign to destroy my family's reputation. Then came the moment that made me grip the armrest so hard it cracked. Senator Whitmore looked directly into the camera. The alleged victim, this girl, has a history of seeking attention. We have evidence that she has made false accusations before. She is clearly a troubled young woman looking to exploit my son's good name. I turned off the TV. My hands were shaking. Laya was watching me from her bed. She couldn't speak yet, but she picked up her notepad and wrote, "They're lying about me." I walked over and sat beside her. I know, baby. Everyone will believe them. Not everyone. Dad, please don't do something you can't take back. I looked at my daughter, at the wires still holding her jaw together, at the bruises still fading on her face, at the fear still lingering in her eyes. I won't, I said quietly. But inside something was burning, something dark, something I hadn't felt since my last mission overseas. The case went to the district attorney's office. Because of the public pressure, they had no choice but to file charges. Ryder Callahan, Preston Whitmore, and Kyle Davenport were formally charged with aggravated assault. But the families had already assembled a legal army. Their lead attorney was a man named Victor Ashford, the most expensive defense lawyer in the state. He had gotten CEOs off murder charges, politicians off corruption charges. He had never lost a case. And now he was defending the three men who shattered my daughter's face. The arraignment was held 2 weeks later. I sat in the back of the courtroom watching. Ryder walked in first, arrogant, smirking, wearing a suit that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent. He didn't look like a man facing assault charges. He looked like a man who knew he was untouchable. Preston came next, nervous, sweating, constantly looking to his father in the gallery. Kyle came last, pale, exhausted, avoiding everyone's eyes. He had been moved to a separate location after agreeing to testify for the prosecution. His own family had downed him. The judge, not Harrison Callahan, thankfully, read the charges. How do the defendants plead? Victor Ashford stood up. Not guilty. Your Honor, on all counts. The courtroom erupted in murmurs. The judge banged his gavel. Order. Bail is set at $500,000 for each defendant. $500,000. Pocket change for these families. Within an hour, all three were released. That night, I received a phone call. Unknown number. I answered. Mr. Mercer. A deep voice. Calm. Threatening. You've made a very big mistake. Who is this? Someone who wants to give you a friendly warning. Drop this case. Convince your daughter to recant her statement. Walk away while you still can. And if I don't, a pause. You served in Delta Force. You know how wars are fought. This isn't a war you can win. These families have resources you can't imagine. They will bury you. They will bury your daughter. They will destroy everything you love. Is that a threat? It's a promise. The line went dead. I sat in the darkness for a long time. Then I made a call of my own. Marcus, I need another favor. What now? Find out who just called me. And I need you to reach out to the old team. The old team? Dom? Those guys are scattered across 3 continents. Then start making calls. It's time to bring them home. The next morning, I visited Laya. Her jaw was healing. The doctor said she could start speaking again in a few weeks. But when I walked into her room, I could see something had changed. She was sitting up in bed staring at her phone. What's wrong? She turned the screen toward me. It was a social media post. Thousands of comments, most of them attacking her, calling her a liar, a gold digger, a publicity seeker. The families had launched their counterattack. They were destroying my daughter's reputation before the trial even started. I took the phone from her hands and set it aside. Don't read that garbage. She picked up her notepad. They're winning, Dad. They're not winning. They're scared. That's why they're doing this. It doesn't feel like they're scared. I sat down and took her hand. Isla, listen to me. I've spent my entire life fighting people who thought they were untouchable. Men with power, men with armies, men who believed they could do whatever they wanted without consequences. What happened to them? I looked her in the eyes. They learned they were wrong. She stared at me for a long moment, then she wrote, "Promise me you won't become someone I don't recognize." I kissed her forehead. I promise. But as I walked out of that hospital, I knew the truth. The man I used to be. The man who followed rules, who trusted the system, who believed in justice. That man was already gone, and the man taking his place. He wasn't going to stop until every single one of them paid. The trial began on a cold Monday morning. The courthouse was surrounded by news vans and protesters. Half of them were holding signs demanding justice for Laya. The other half were supporters of the Callahan and Whitmore families, calling my daughter a liar. I walked through that crowd with my head held high. Let them stare, let them judge. None of them knew what was coming. The courtroom was packed. Judge Oilia Hartwell presided, a sharp woman in her 60s with steel-gray hair and no patience for nonsense. She had a reputation for being immune to political pressure. That gave me hope. The prosecution was led by a young ADA named Felix Moran. He was smart, aggressive, and hungry to make a name for himself, but I could see the weight on his shoulders. He knew he was going up against the most powerful families in the state. Victor Ashford sat at the defense table with his team of expensive lawyers. Ryder, Preston, and Kyle sat behind them, all three in tailored suits, looking like they were attending a charity gala instead of a criminal trial. Judge Callahan and Senator Whitmore were in the gallery, watching everything with cold, calculating eyes. This was their world, but I was about to burn it down. The first 2 days were procedural: jury selection, opening statements, foundational evidence. Felix presented the security footage. The jury watched in silence as 3 masked figures attacked my daughter. Some of them looked away. One woman covered her mouth. Victor Ashford didn't flinch. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said during his opening statement, "what you just saw is disturbing. No one denies that. But what the prosecution cannot prove, what they will never prove, is that my clients were those masked individuals. This case is built on speculation, not evidence." He was good! I had to admit that, but he didn't know what we had planned. On the third day, Kay Davenport took the stand. The courtroom went silent. Kay looked terrified. His hands were shaking as he placed them on the Bible. "Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?" "I do." Felix approached him slowly. "Mr. Davenport, can you describe what happened on the night of September 14th? Kay took a deep breath. "We attacked her, Laya Mercer, the 3 of us." Gasps filled the courtroom. "Who planned the attack?" Ryder Callahan. He was obsessed with Laya. She rejected him at a party a few weeks earlier, and he couldn't let it go. "What role did Preston Whitmore play?" "He brought the bat. He was the one who swung it." More gasps. Senator Whitmore's face turned red. "And what did you do?" Kyle's voice cracked. "I watched. I didn't stop them. I just stood there." "Why didn't you stop them?" "Because I was scared. Ryder controls everything. If you go against him, he destroys you. I've seen him do it to others." Felix nodded. No further questions. Victor Ashford stood up, buttoning his jacket. "Mr. Davenport, isn't it true that you were offered immunity in exchange for your testimony?" "I was offered a reduced sentence, not immunity. So, you have a personal incentive to blame my clients." "No, I'm telling the truth." "Are you? Or are you simply trying to save yourself by pointing the finger at someone else?" "I was there. I saw everything. Ryder planned it. Preston did it. That's the truth." Victor smiled coldly. "We'll let the jury decide what the truth is." That night, I received another phone call. This time, I recognized the voice. "Mr. Mercer, this is Judge Harrison Callahan." I said nothing. I wanted to reach out personally, father to father. "You have nothing to say that I want to hear. I understand your anger, but this trial is destroying both our families. My son made a mistake. Young men do foolish things. Surely we can find a way to resolve this privately. Your son didn't make a mistake. He planned and executed a brutal attack on my daughter. He shattered her jaw. He laughed while she bled. Those are allegations. Nothing has been proven." Kyle Davenport just testified under oath. Mr. Davenport is a frightened young man who will say anything to save himself. I gripped the phone tighter. "What do you want, Judge?" "I want to make you an offer. Drop the civil suit. Convince your daughter to accept the settlement. In return, I can guarantee she receives full compensation for her medical expenses, plus a generous amount for her suffering." "How much?" $5 million. $5 million. Enough to pay for Laya's surgeries, her therapy, her future. Enough to make this all go away. And in return, the criminal charges are reduced to misdemeanors. My son and his friends receive probation. Everyone moves on with their lives." I was silent for a long moment. "Judge Callahan, let me ask you something. Of course, if someone broke your son's jaw with a baseball bat, If they left him bleeding and unconscious on the ground, would $5 million be enough for you to walk away? Silence. That's what I thought. I hung up. The next day, the prosecution called a surprise witness. Her name was Brooke Sinclair. When she walked into the courtroom, Ryder's face went pale. For the first time since the trial began, I saw fear in his eyes. Felix approached her gently. Miss Sinclair, can you tell the court how you know the defendant? Ryder Callahan. Brooke was trembling, but her voice was steady. We dated briefly during my freshman year, 2 years ago, and what happened during that relationship? She took a deep breath. He assaulted me. The courtroom erupted. Judge Hartwell banged her gavel. Order! Order in the court! When the noise died down, Felix continued. Can you describe what happened? We were at a party. I wanted to leave early, but Ryder didn't want me to go. We argued. He grabbed me, pushed me against the wall, hit me. Did you report the assault? I tried. I went to campus police. I filed a complaint. What happened to that complaint? Brooke's eyes filled with tears. It disappeared. A week later, Ryder's father, Judge Callahan, called my parents. He told them that if I pursued the case, he would make sure I never got into law school, that my family's business would be audited, that my life would be destroyed, so you withdrew the complaint. I had no choice. My family couldn't fight them. No one can fight them. She looked at me across the courtroom. Until now. Victor Ashford jumped to his feet. Objection, Your Honor. This testimony is completely irrelevant to the current case. It's a blatant attempt to prejudice the jury. Judge Hartwell looked at him coldly. Mr. Ashford, this testimony speaks directly to the defendant's pattern of behavior and the alleged cover-up by his family. Objection overruled. Ryder was whispering frantically to his lawyer. For the first time, he looked scared. Good. After court adjourned, I found Brooke in the hallway. Miss Sinclair, she turned. Her eyes were red from crying. Mr. Mercer, I'm sorry I didn't come forward sooner. I was so scared. You came forward now. That's what matters. I saw what they did to your daughter on the news. And I knew if I stayed silent again, they would just keep hurting people. I placed a hand on her shoulder. What you did today took more courage than most people will ever have. Thank you. She wiped her eyes. Do you think we can win? I looked back at the courtroom doors. I think we just did. That night, Leah spoke her first words since the attack. The doctors had removed the wires from her jaw 2 days earlier. She had been practicing slowly, painfully. When I walked into her hospital room, she looked at me with tears streaming down her face, and she said in a voice barely above a whisper, Dad, I heard what Brooke said. I'm not the only one. I sat beside her and held her hand. No, baby, you're not. How many others are there? I don't know, but we're going to find out. She squeezed my hand. Thank you for not giving up. I kissed her forehead. Never. Not ever. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Every day was a battle. The defense painted Laya as unstable. They dug up her old high school counseling records, teenage angst, nothing more. They claimed her rejection of Ryder was obsession, not fear. But Brooke's testimony stuck. The jury watched her closely. So did Judge Hartwell. Closing arguments came on a Friday. Felix Moran was passionate. These defendants didn't just assault Leah Mercer, they assaulted justice itself. Their families tried to bury the truth, but the truth always rises. Victor Ashford was colder. No direct evidence links my clients to this crime. A coerced witness, questionable footage, a grieving father desperate for someone to blame. This is tragedy turned into theater. The jury deliberated for 18 hours. When they returned, Judge Hartwell's face gave nothing away. Have you reached a verdict? We have, Your Honor. Judge Hartwell nodded. Please read it. The foreman stood. On the charge of aggravated assault, we find the defendants guilty. The courtroom exploded. I closed my eyes and exhaled. Laya squeezed my hand from her wheelchair beside me. She could speak now, but just whispered, It's over. But it wasn't. Sentencing was scheduled for the following Monday. The families didn't waste time. Protests turned ugly outside the courthouse. Anonymous tips flooded police lines claiming Laya fabricated everything. Her social media exploded with hate. Senator Whitmore went on every news channel. My son is a victim of a broken system, weaponized by a grieving father. Judge Callahan leaked evidence to friendly outlets, doctored photos, fake witness statements. Kyle's family publicly downed him on live TV. I watched it all from a distance. Rage simmered, but I stayed quiet. Yaila noticed. Dad, you're scaring me. I'm handling it, I said. Monday morning, the courtroom was tense. The defendant stood, suits crisp, expressions somber for the cameras. Judge Hartwell reviewed the pre-sentencing reports. I've considered the brutality of the crime, the defendant's lack of prior records, their age, and family support. Family support. There it was, she continued. However, the evidence is compelling, but given this is their first defense and considering rehabilitative potential, my stomach dropped. Ryder Callahan, Preston Whitmore, Kyle Davenport. I sentence you to 2 years probation, 500 hours community service, and mandatory counseling, no jail time. The defense cheered quietly. Senator Whitmore smiled. Yayla gasped. What? I sat frozen as the gavel fell. Guilty but free. Outside chaos. Reporters swarmed. Protesters screamed. The families rushed their sons into waiting SUVs. Triumphant. I wheeled Wyla to our truck. She was sobbing. They get to walk after what they did. I know, baby. Her voice broke. I can't even smile yet. And they just go home. I helped her into the passenger seat. Her face still scarred, still healing, twisted in pain. We drove in silence. That night, Laya slept with pain meds. I sat in the living room staring at childhood photos. Her first birthday, missing tooth grin, high school graduation, arms around Elena and me. Elena, if she were here, I pulled out an old box from the attic. Delta Force memorabilia medals. Photos of the team. A letter from my last commanding officer. Mercer, you always got justice done. My phone buzzed. Marcus Dome, you okay? No. What happened in there? That wasn't justice. I know. Long pause. The team's assembling. 5 guys. I'll say yes. I looked at Wyla's photo. That smile they stole. Good. Tell the mission briefing tomorrow. Copy that. I hung up, stood, felt the old fire ignite. The next morning, 6 of us met in a warehouse outside town. Brothers from the unit, Grant, Hunter, Ian, Julian, Oliver, faces scarred like mine. Grant spoke first. What's the op? I laid out photos of Ryder, Preston, Kyle, their routines, weak spots, no killing, I said. No traces, but they need to feel what Yila felt. Every hit, every break. Hunter nodded. Precision work, like old times. Ian studied the layouts. Ryder first. Isolated runs in the park. Preston next. His gym closes late. Kyle last. He drives alone to work sites. Julian grinned faintly. Delta style. Clean. We plan for hours. Escape routes. Alibis, medical precision, fractures, mirroring Wyla's injuries. I looked at each man. This crosses a line. Jail of caught. Oliver shrugged for Laya. Worth it. We clasped hands. Mission green lit. That night I sat with Laya. She woke, eyes clearer. Dad, what happens now? You heal. Go back to school when ready. Live your life. She searched my face and them. Karma finds everyone. She frowned. Promise you're not doing anything crazy. I promise. She hugged me tight. First real hug since the hospital. As she slept, I slipped out. First target, Ryder. Delta Force doesn't wait. Ryder was first. We watched him for 3 days. Same routine. 5 a.m. run through the wooded park trail. No witnesses, no cameras. 4:45 a.m. Fog thick. Grant and Hunter in position. I stayed back with the van. Binoculars only. Ryder appeared, earbuds in. Cocky stride. Same guy who laughed after shattering Wyla's jaw. Grant stepped from the trees. Black tactical gear, no face shown. Ryder Callahan. Ryder froze, yanked out earbuds. Who the hell? Hunter flanked him. Silent, precise. Ryder swung wild. Grant side-stepped, swept his legs. Ryder hit dirt hard. No words, no threats. Grant knelt. One controlled strike. Knee to ribs. Crack. Fractured. Ryder gasped. Tried to crawl. Hunter grabbed his arm. Twisted. Elbow popped. Shattered another to the jaw. Exact force 6 places like Leia's x-rays showed. Ryder screamed. Muffled. Gurgling. They dragged him deep into brush. Finished with legs. Femurs snapped clean. No arteries, no fatality. 5:12 a.m. Clean extraction. Ryder or left alive. Barely moving. No traces. No evidence. News hit by noon. Fraternity air attacked on morning run. Multiple fractures. Jaw shattered. Senator Whitmore called emergency presser. This is terrorism against my son's friends. Police swarmed the park. Found nothing. I visited Laya that afternoon. She watched coverage. Jaw dropped. Dad, you think just coincidence, baby? She didn't believe me, but hugged tighter. Preston next. 2 nights later, gym closed at 11 p.m. He stayed late. Weights, mirrors, ego. Ian and Julian waited in the alley. Preston exited alone. Backpack slung, whistling. Preston Whitmore. He spun. What are you? Julian moved like shadow armbar slammed face first into brick. Preston bucked. Strong but sloppy. Ian delivered payload ribs first. 5 cracks. Exact match to Wheela's chart. Preston wheezed. Fought dirty. Elbowed Julian. Ian didn't flinch. Legs sweep. Ankle shattered on pavement. Final knee to spine. Vertebrae fractured. Paralyzed from waist down. Temporary precise. Preston left curled fetal moaning. 11:47 p.m. Team exfiltrated. Gym cams looped by Oliver. Headlines scream next day. Second frat boy beaten brutally. Ribs, legs, spine broken. Gang links. Senator Whitmore furious. Coordinated attacks. FBI now. FBI agent Tristan Reyes took lead. Press conference. No gang signs. Surgical precision. Someone with training. I watched from coffee shop. Smiled faintly. Kyle saw it coming. Went underground. Family cut him off completely. Kyle last riskiest. Tracked him to construction site. Daddy's company. Night shift supervisor alone in trailer. Oliver and I approached on foot. 2 a.m. Rain heavy. Kyle Davenport. He jumped from chair. Mr. for Mercer. How? Get in the truck. He trembled. Please. I testified. I did the right thing. You watched. Never stopped them. He bolted. Slipped in mud. Oliver zip-tied him. Hooded, loaded. Drove to abandoned quarry. Isolated. We dragged him out. Rain pounded. You get mercy, I said. Testify helped. He sobbed. I'll disappear. Please. Arms first. Control brakes. Humorous radius. Snapped like twigs, he screamed into hood. Ribs next for fractures. Legs final kneecaps precise. Left him there. Phone beside him. 911 programmed. Call for help. Live with it. We vanished into night by dawn. Third attack. Kyle Davenport found beaten at quarry. Mirrors frat attacks. Every bone targeted. Panic citywide. Senator demanded National Guard. FBI's Reyes on TV. Perpetrator trained military Delta level skills. Copycat. No, same fractures exact. Judge Callahan. Hold up guards everywhere. I got the call. Reyes. Mr. Mercer need to talk. Station interview room. Cold coffee free attacks. Exact injuries match your daughter's. You see pattern. Terrible coincidence. Reyes leaned in. Your service record. Delta Force. Surgical strikes. No traces. Many vets. But this precision. Yours? I stared back calm. Agent Rye's system fail. My girl probation for bat wielders. Now, karma hits. World works that way. He slid photos across. Rider in wheelchair. Pressed in paralyzed bed. Kyle wired shut like looking at Laya. Silence. You got alibis. Ironclad. But if I dig, you won't find. He sighed. Whoever did this new anatomy, new pain. Message sent. I stood. Message received. Reyes nodded slow. Walk home now. Healing but watched news non-stop. Dad, FBI close. Not close enough. She grabbed my arm hard enough. Please. I held her. First time she hugged without pain, but inside, firebanked, not out. Senator resigned. Whispers started. Scandals bubbling. They felt it. Every break, the attacks hit the news like bombs. Every channel looped footage. Rider in a wheelchair. Jaw wired shut. Eyes hollow. Pressed in bedridden. Spine fractured. Tubes snaking from his body. Kyle curled in a hospital bed. Arms in casts. Legs immobilized. Whispering through pain meds. Serial vigilante targets fraternity brothers, the anchors said. Surgical precision. Military training suspected. Senator Whitmore resigned that week. Scandals exploding. Leaked emails showed him pressuring the DA's office during Laya's trial. Donations funneled to silence witnesses. His career crumbled overnight. Judge Callahan went silent. No more press conferences. Rumors said he barricaded himself at home. Private security everywhere. FBI agent Tristan Reyes ramped up. Raids on Sigma Tau House. Interviews with every frat member. Digital forensics dug into phone records, traffic cams, financials. I watch from home. Laya healing fast now. First real smile since the attack. Physical therapy 3 times a week. She walked without the cane, but tension hung heavy. Flashback to the planning. After sentencing, the team gathered again. Warehouse dim. Map spread. Grant laid it out. Precision fractures only. Mirror Lila's x-rays. Exactly. No vitals hit. No deaths. Hunter nodded. Sedatives optional. Quick in, quick out. Black Ops gear. Ian pulled satellite images. Riders park run. 0 cams. Tree cover. Perfect. Julian on Preston. Jim Alley. Blind spot. Owner owes me from old job. Oliver handled Kyle. Corey isolated. His night shifts predictable. I studied their faces. Brothers who'd bled with me in deserts, mountains, hellholes. This ends us if caught, I said. Grant clapped my shoulder. For Leia? No question. We drilled 2 nights. Anatomy review, strike force calibration, alibis locked. Me at therapy sessions with Leia. Timed perfect. Execution flawless. Ryder Grant's knee shattered ribs like glass. Hunter's twist popped elbow clean. Jaw strike measured 6 fractures exact. Preston Ian slams cracked 5 ribs. Julian swept ankle. Snapped spine vertebrae. No permanent paralysis. Message only. Kyle mercy given. Arms first then ribs, kneecaps. Left breathing, phone ready. Clean. No DNA. No witnesses. Ghost work. Back to now. Reyes called me in again. Same interview room. Harder eyes this time. Mr. Mercer. 3 attacks. Exact match to your daughter's injuries. Fractures mirror her medical records. Coincidence? I said flat. He slid photos across. Ryder's x-rays next to Leia's. Perfect overlay. Radiologist confirmed. Same force vectors. Same break patterns. World small. He leaned in. Your Delta record. CQB expert. Fracture specialist from interrogations. Many operators, but this signature yours. He tapped the table. Team involved. 6 men minimum. Logistics tight. I sipped cold coffee. Calm. Agent Ray S. system gave probation. These kids walked free. Now karma circles. Happens. He pulled file. Alibi solid. UPT with Leia. Others scattered. Vets across states. Verify. Good police work. Frustration flickered. Whoever planned this genius. No traces. But why stop at 3? Didn't say they stopped. He stared long, stood. Walk for now. But if more different story closed. I exhaled. Close. Too close. Lala confronted me that night. Kitchen table. Dinner steaming. She set fork down. Eyes sharp. Dad, I know. Heart skipped. Know what? You the team. Ryder's jaw. Preston's spine. Kyle's legs. Silence thick. How? Patterns match mine. Doctor told me. And your absences. The calls. That look in your eyes. I met her gaze. No lies left. Yes. Tears welled. Why? System failed. Probation. They laughed. You couldn't eat, smile, live, she stood. Paced vigilantes. Dad, you're better. Am I? Watch them destroy you. Leaks, lies. Senator calling you troubled. Voice cracked. Doesn't make it right. I rose. Gentle precision. No death. They feel what you felt. Every break, she sobbed. Collapsed into chair. FBI close. Not yet. What now? Now we heal. Civil suits launched. Next day. Leia's lawyer Nathaniel, now pro bono, filed against families. Medical bills, pain, trauma, discovery exploded. Emails, payments to witnesses. Dean's notes pressuring police. Public turned. Protests at Callahan home. Whitmore offices vandalized. Kay's family sued him separately. Betrayal. Senator's wife left him. Live TV tears. Judge Callahan faced disbarment hearing. Oilia Hartwell presided ironically. Ethics violation obstruction. He resigned before verdict. Law license suspended. Bradley University expelled. Sigma charter. Dean Morrison retired. Brooke Sinclair started foundation. Assault survivors. Leia first board member. Leia's surgery final stage. Jaw reconstruction complete. Scars faint. First words post-top. Mirror. She stared. Touched face. Smiled tentative. Beautiful, I whispered. Hugged tight. Thank you for everything. Team faded back. Grant to Alaska. Hunter overseas contract. Others ghosts again. Reyes called once more. Case cold. No leads, but message received. Understood. One loose end. Kyle reached out. Burner phone. Mr. Mercer. Hospital. Can I see her? Why apologize? Face to face. Wheela decided yes. Hospital neutral. Guards outside, me inside. Kyle wheeled in. Arms casted. Legs braced. Hollow eyes. Leia. I'm sorry. Watched. Didn't stop. Coward. She nodded slow. Felt pain now. Yes. Every day. Good. He turned to me. You saved me. Worse could have happened. Choices. He wheeled out. Changed man. Months passed. Leia back at Bradley new dorm advocacy group lead. Speech to freshmen. Silence protects them. Speak. Crowd applauded. Phones recorded. Viral. I watch from back. Pride swelled. Home that night. Old photos out. Elena smiling. Laya small. Phone buzzed. Marcus all clear. Loose tied. Thanks brother. Hung up. Sat quiet. Justice not legal. Real door opened. La home. Dad. Speech killed. Hugged. Proud. She pulled back. Eyes knowing. Team. Okay. Gone. Mission complete. Nodded. We heal now. Yes. Laya's first speech was electric. Bradley University Auditorium. Packed. Students, professors, survivors. She stood center stage. No scars visible now. Voice steady and strong. You think power protects monsters? Think again. Crowd leaned in. I walked campus one night. 3 shadows followed. One swung a bat. Shattered my jaw in 6 places. Left me bleeding, silent. Gasps rippled. They had names. Fathers with titles. Judge, senator, tycoon. System gave probation. Walked free. Boos swelled. But pain, real pain finds everyone. Their jaws wired, ribs cracked, legs snapped. Exact what I felt. Applause thundered. She raised hand. Not revenge, justice quiet kind. Karma wearing combat boots. Laughter mixed cheers. Phones lit up. Viral instant. I watched from Shadow's back row, chest tight with pride. Elena would have cried. She ended. Speak or stay silent forever. Standing ovation. Yayla beamed. Full smile. First time since that night. Backstage hug crushed me. Dad felt mom there. She was. We drove home. Windows down. Wind whipped her hair. Free. Dad. Yeah. Team all good. Gone. Quiet. Missions in clean. She nodded. Kyle messaged from rehab. Says thank you. Changed him. Good. Senator Whitmore. Divorce filed. Facing federal probe obstruction. Witness tampering. Career. Ash. Judge Callahan disbarred. Sold. Mansion. Moved. Small town. Whispers. He stares. Windows. Haunted. Preston. Wheelchair permanent now. Family fortune drained. Lawsuits. Works warehouse. Irony thick. Rider dropped out. Therapy endless. Last seen apologizing publicly. Video. Apology. Laya ignored Kyle. Testified more cases now advocate redeem. Maybe Bradley clean house. New policies assault task force. Laya consults Brooks Foundation. Boomed national now. Laya keynotes dinner. That night steak rare. Laya's favorite. First solid meal. No pain to us. She toasted water glass to you. She set glass down. I serious dad. Confront time. Heart thudded. Okay, you planned it. Every break. Delta precision. Yes. Why tell now? Truth heals. Hiding eats you. Tears glistened. Scared me. Thought lose you. Jail worse. Worth risk. They felt your hell. Probation insult. You suffered months. She wiped eyes. Angry first then. Understood. System failed. You fixed hugged across table. Love you dad always. Love you more. Next day FBI rees unannounced. Coffee on porch. Laya inside. Case closed. He said no leads. Perfect crime or no crime. He chuckled dark. Delta ghosts. Respect. Slid envelope. Official unsolved but families paid. Why tell me closure and warning? No more done. He stood. Yayla's speech powerful change campus proud handshake. Firm watchback anyway gone. Evening walk neighborhood quiet. Star sharp. Leela linked arm. Future college done. Law school. Maybe fight like you taught. Perfect. She stopped. Looked up. Dad one question haunts. What's that? She turned slow. Eyes locked mine. What if they come for us next? Air stilled. Old instincts. Flared but shook head. They won't message clear. And we stronger. Now nodded. Continued walk. Weeks blurred. Leela keynotes exploded. TEDx invite book. Deal whispers. I back. Consulting security firms. Quiet life but ready always. One night burner rang. Marcus Dom. Clean forever team scattered. Happy brothers hung up. Peace settled. Yayla burst in. Dad viral million views. Hug laughing. Life rebuilt. Stronger. Unbreakable. If this tale gripped your heart and kept you till the end, drop a like and subscribe to Betrayal Stories Lab, your front row seat to more raw real tales of justice rising from ashes. Kindly comment below, where are you watching from today, and what burning question does this leave you with? Share the city or country that saw a father's unbreakable love turn pain into power. Most importantly, tell me straight what kind of stories fire you up most. Betrayal, cheating spouses, slow burn family wars, emotional revenge, whatever you crave. That's exactly what I'll deliver next. Your voice shapes our next thriller. Waiting in comments.